And then once the symbols come in my hands, I start to bleed through dimensions. That's like, those are the words that are coming from me. It's like my body and my spirit and different parts of myself start to break apart, and I'm going through layers and dimensions, and my body start to move around me, and sometimes they'll stay in the tokens, or sometimes my hands will be guided in different positions. But as I'm flowing and as my hands are moving, I'm seeing through the dimensions.
Welcome to Taste Your Magic. I'm Ruth Barclay. They call me the Oracle around the world, and we do so many fun, interesting healing work and explore work and development work. And today we're doing readings. Readings can consist of any questions that you have about yourself, your life, your gifts. We speak to loved ones who have passed on, and we also do animal communication. And today might be just a little different. We have Venus with us. Hi, Venus.
Hello.
And she's been on a retreat, and she's been out to the ranch, and we've had an opportunity to see her gifts. And I've loved watching you share just in a little bit of time, but we've gone pretty deep with some different things like that. And thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
So before we get going, do you have a question that might be coming up now?
I can't think of a specific question. I honestly, the question that I've had is like, why am I here right now? And like, why this timing? I have learned that when Ruth comes into your life in any way or reaches out to you, if you accept the call, it is the greatest act of self-love that you can do, because you will transform and you will meet yourself further. And those are my favorite things to do. So what do you have for me today?
That's a great one.
That's my question.
That was really good. I like how you said that. So I was thinking about it a few times, and there's a lot that can be explored with you. And something that I love that you do is you articulate things so beautifully, and like, you can paint the picture and the image, and it's easy to understand. It's easy to get, right? For me anyway, which I imagine for others too, if they just listen, right?
Thank you.
And so for me, that's like noticing that you have just a natural presence in the wisdom. And what I mean by that is your body, your breath, your communication, the vocabulary has enough aligned experience, whether it's in this life or not, to be able to express it in a way that people can understand, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else and you're saying it differently, right? And so for me, that's wisdom already there. And something I love doing is talking with people who are experienced, because you can feel it more, you can see it more, you can hear it more, you can ask questions that you get answers to. And for me, if it's a reality, I can actually visualize and see the truth of it, where it goes. And so I feel like I have a question for you.
Okay.
But it's been forming. And so
okay.
It's like, what could this question be? And the question for me is, when you open up into allowing your body to be guided, okay? Try to describe what happens. Like an example would be when we were on the bus and the symbols and stuff started coming through, and you were working with Scott and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if we wanted to go look them up, they're there, right? Like, we could probably find all of that information, but it was just, you're just doing it.
Yeah. Trying to think I've never articulated this before. So this is going to be a learning experience for me too, because I've never had to put it to words or really thought about the process either. I know that I start by getting hot. I start to feel a heat throughout my body. Okay. And like, my hands are super, super sensitive as well. I have some pressure points or heat points in my body. And I want to say it comes from my hands, my heart, my third eye, and my crown, that are like the hot points where energy is just building and building. And I start within my hands. And I also start to feel, trying to think of the best way to describe it. If you've done breath work before, specifically holotropic breath work, where you are having a DMT release, if I start to feel a little bit tingly in my body and I start to have a little bit of a DMT release, even though I'm not doing breath work, I haven't taken anything that's making me experience these effects, it's just naturally happening. At first, I tend to get a little bit of a fear. Because it's honestly really scary to feel like you have taken a substance when you haven't, and not knowing if you're going to get stuck almost. That's where I have the fear. I get a fear that I'm going to get stuck, and then I remind myself that I am completely in control. Like that's just, I remind myself I'm completely in control, and I don't know how I trust that because I don't necessarily have experiences yet that I remember of pulling myself out of like stuck situations, but somehow I know that I have the capability. So once I let go and I relax, I start to feel tingles up my arms and I start to sweat a lot of the time. Sometimes it gets really hard to talk and it's easier for me to kind of like hum at a certain frequency. Mm-hmm. And when I start to hum, like something like that, I'm feeling it in a different area of my body. It's like kind of if you're playing with sound bowls or different instruments, I love working with frequencies, sound frequencies. So you can create them. Your voice is like the most powerful thing that you have. So as I feel the energy moving through my body, I'm collaborating with it with my voice. I'm working with the energy to bring me into a different state of being, essentially. So I start to, the numbness goes away and I start to lose feeling in my hands almost. And it's like something is taking over them, and it doesn't feel like an entity or like something negative. It feels like my true self. It feels ancient. It feels like years and years and years of knowledge and practice and experience. And when I just go into that, my hands start to go into different formations. And it's interesting because they're doing a different one right now, and sometimes they'll be moving in interesting ways, but my fingers will form different patterns. And what I actually learned from Scott, because I never had a word from it, he had texted me after I had worked with him in Mexico and told me that he had learned about hand tokens that people had used to use. And I still don't, I want to learn more about tokens, but I want to learn them myself before I validate it with the knowledge outside, because that's my learning process. I'll convince myself that it wasn't intuitive if I know it first, right? So I'm playing with the tokens first, but I know where to look next. So symbols come in my hands, and then once the symbols come in my hands, I start to bleed through dimensions. That's like those are the words that are coming from me. It's like my body and my spirit and different parts of myself start to break apart, and I'm going through layers and dimensions, and my body start to move around me, and sometimes they'll stay in the tokens, or sometimes my hands will be guided in different positions. But as I'm flowing and as my hands are moving, I'm seeing through the dimensions. And if I'm working with somebody, say a client, I start to see them in like X-ray vision almost. That's the best way for me to describe it. I actually can't really articulate what it really looks like because it's not something I've seen in this realm, this reality. Yeah. So I start to see like a vision of them. And a lot of the times my eyes are closed. That's when I actually feel like I can see best. And I start to see things in your cellular makeup. The first time I experienced this, I kept hearing interdimensional cellular healing. That's like, those were the words that were coming. And I was seeing like a shadow of the person, and then I'm seeing a DNA strand like spiraling and going down, and I'm seeing things in the DNA strand, and I'm feeling like that's out of place, this needs to go here, this needs light, this needs to be pulled through into a different dimension, this was lost here. Yeah. So as my hands are moving, and as and I also have learned that I start to hum more, or I'll start to say things, or I'll put my hand on you and I'll say, breathe, and I'll push into your hand, and then something will just like
shift and change, put it together.
I'm learning how to teach people how to do it because it came so naturally for me. Yeah. It's never something that I was taught. The first time that I experienced it to like the full capacity that I have thus far was with you in Mexico. And that was the first time where I felt safe with somebody, where I was like, I can go as deep and as far as I possibly want, as I possibly can. And Ruth's got me. Yeah. Like Ruth's got me, and Scott's got me. Yeah. And there was Aaron on the trip, and Aaron was assisting as well. And I was like, Aaron's got me. I can go as deep as I need to go, and I don't need to be responsible for pulling myself back up. And it was interesting because when I was like in the depths, it's like, my hands are moving and I'm sweating and I'm like, I'm not even in earth anymore or like on earth anymore. It doesn't, it's such an interesting experience. And I remember the bus was getting to our destination, but I didn't know that. Like I could just feel like, okay, it's time to end this experience. Like you need to come back. And I was like, how? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, where am I? And I start to panic a little bit. And I was like, Scott. And I'm like grabbing on. I needed men around me, which is so interesting because I have a history that's made me feel very unsafe around men. And I don't like when men touch me. I don't like talking to them vulnerably. I will admit I'm working through automatically having negative feelings or associations with a man when I first meet them just because of my past. Yeah. So having Scott and Aaron on that retreat and them being the people aside from you that I needed as support and grounding was really interesting and really healing for me. Yeah. That was the first time that I was able to go that deep, and I held on to them. And I felt the physical support, but then I remember inside, I was like, you know how to get back. You know how to get back. You know how to get back. And I kept being like, Ruth's got you. Ruth's got you. And he was like, you don't need Ruth to come over here and tell you how to get back. You know how. You've done this before. And I was like, no, I haven't. I've never done this. And I was like, yes, you have. You actually do this all the time. Like, so I'm convincing myself to come back. And then I would come back and I'd be on the bus again. And I saw Aaron and I could see that the bus had stopped and he's getting off of the bus. And I'm looking at him and he's like, come back. And I couldn't talk. Like we were definitely communicating, but I couldn't use my voice. And I was like, I'm trying.
It's not moving.
Yeah, I'm really trying. And then I'd start to slip and he'd be like, come back. And I'd be like, okay. And I am like coming back, and I was able to, I had support, right? I had you, I had Scott, I had Aaron, but I was able to guide myself back enough that now I haven't gone that deep again. I would really like to by myself, but I've been able to explore and play more by myself and learn more about my gifts because I experienced being in an interesting dichotomy because it was like the scariest place I've also ever been, but it was also the most at home I've ever felt and the safest I've ever felt. So I don't know how to hold both at once, but it was a very scary experience in the sense that it was unfamiliar in this reality. It felt familiar at a soul level. It felt like this is home for me, but from everything that I've ever known in my actual reality being shattered all of a sudden, that's really scary. So that's something that I'm wanting to play with more. I've been having experiences where people have just been randomly reaching out to me, wanting to do sessions with me or working. It's not something I've been advertising. So I've been taking that as a push to develop my gifts and to play and to get confident and figure out what I am and what I am doing. And it's fun. I'm still learning the process, but I think it was fun to be able to speak out what happens because I'm learning too. It's new. It's interesting.
And it is like a piece and a part by part sometimes. And an awareness and an acknowledgement and interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it's also if I was watching this recording 5 years ago, I would have been like, you're insane. Put her in a mental hospital. Those things don't even exist. And now I'm here and I'm talking about it publicly. And I'm like, yep, this is how it is. But it's been an interesting journey and I love learning more about it. I'm excited to learn more and do more because things are different than I thought that they were,
Well, thank you. You explained it really well and helped us kind of explore, the thoughts and the process of it. And some of you guys have probably experienced certain parts of that in your own way or different things like this. So it doesn't need to be quite that far yet, but there's some wisdom in that body. So it brings her back.
Bits and pieces.
But yeah, it was good. I remember Scott would look at me and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, it was a pretty crazy experience.
Like, okay. I'm like, you got this, man. You dealt with me. You got this. And Aaron would be like, yeah, this is really cool. And then he'd get almost in awe, like entertained me, like, hey, you got to hold fort on that side.
Well, I just
like,
remember,
whoa.
it was a lot.
They
I just
did good.
remember being like, this is not like anything I've ever seen or experienced before, but I know it's real and I need to trust that. And I remember it was so hard for me to speak with my actual voice and my actual words. And the only thing that I could say when Scott was supporting me, when I started tapping into like the gifts and realizing like, oh, there's healing to do right now on this class, I looked at him and all I could say was, can I work on you right now? Like that's it. Or something along those lines. And I couldn't explain to him what that meant, what I was doing, like anything. I was just like, no, I didn't. I said, can I bring you into this? That's what I said. I didn't say, can I help you? I said, can I bring you into this? And I was like, he's going to know what I mean. I was like, he's going to understand what I mean. And he's like, yeah, and then I just start doing the work, and I was like, "This is the most beautiful thing that's ever happened." And I'm like crying, and I saw him looking
crying
at you.
He started crying too, I think, but
for a minute there. But that was one of the most healing experiences of my life, and I actually think that it was really important that my first experience at that depth, because I've had little bits and pieces. But at that depth, I think it was really important that it was a man, and specifically a man with so much integrity who you can trust with every single part of you. I had not really experienced that before I met Scott.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because my aunt/best friend Megan is who took me on, or who went with me on the trip to Mexico. And since then, we've had some conversations where I've been trying to do healing around the masculine or my relationship with men. And I always use Scott as an example of like what felt safe and like what I'm trying to reach or like, you
know the truth of integrity and what that feels like. You know the strength of what that feels like. You know when they're actually open and receiving. Or
I experienced like being able to be held and supported by a man with zero sexual anything behind it, and to have a supportive wife there also. I was like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Like, I actually feel like I have like a dad hugging me for the first time, you know? Like, I feel like I have like the way that a father should feel towards their daughter is how I felt that I got to experience when I am with Scott, not even just that one. It's just when I get to be around Scott, I feel like he is the perfect depiction of like a father or a man who has the utmost integrity. So you guys have helped me a lot. And I, even when we're not together, I feel like I'm still doing healing and work with you guys from a distance because of the experiences that we've had.
It was really good. And we were really grateful that you did trust us and you allowed that space. And because then you also healed a part of him that is relevant, and we see it, but can all of us understand it? No, we're not totally sure. Like, we can't pinpoint exactly how to put it in words, but there was some work that you did on him that is, we see it. We see the work, and he feels it still and stuff like that. So it was really
cool.
good. It was a good exchange.
My mind. I'm like, I know it's real, but it's crazy. It's real. So that's awesome.
Oh, the wildness. So I really, really appreciate you being vulnerable and just allowing yourself to walk us through something so, unique and in that fashion. So it's good. It's going to help a lot of other people maybe give a different association with what might be happening with them, or what they can see, or what they're feeling, or something of that sort. So thank you so much. And before we go, do you have anything you want to share with me?
Oh, okay. I think that's kind of funny. I feel like you are being encouraged or invited to work hands-on more. I don't know how often. I haven't been able to work with you too much so far, so I don't know how often you do hands-on. But I feel like what I'm getting is a lot of what you've done is up here or is through your voice, and I feel like you get to work with your hands more.
Okay.
So that's funny. I actually think that a lot of what I just said is stuff that you get to practice and start kind of playing around with. And we can also talk more on that, but I think you're being invited to trust your hands too. To trust.
So probably about 2017, like 18, 19 maybe, somewhere around there. I actually like kind of quit doing hands-on stuff unless it was just private and it was like terminal illness and we really needed to do some serious stuff. Because it got exhausting.
It
You know,
Yeah.
and I started to learn, okay, some of my gifts is I can translate others learning their gifts. And so I kind of took a step back out of doing hands-on. I literally, unless they are private, like mentoring stuff, I actually almost don't even let them come to my house unless it's a group session now. Because I was like, it's all remote all over the place. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and I've just been working that way for years, you know. And so I started wondering, the horses were kind of pointing at that, and the snakes were too. And so I was like, all right. So thank you for that message, and I'm sure they'll all be pretty happy as well. I was even like paying other people to work on the horses and stuff.
They're like, come on. You're the master. Come on. That's so
now we
funny.
got 3 weeks instead of just today. So yeah,
so
we're going to do that. But you know, you go through phases and you see some things get so exciting and oh my gosh, and wow. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that's good. That's far enough. Let's try something else. Or just earth changes too. And COVID hit and things like that. But yeah, I needed to branch out into the teaching side stronger. And sometimes I have to force myself to stop a category.
Yep.
Or I'll just keep being drawn and doing it. And so thank you.
Of course.
Awesome.
You get to say hello again to Hands-On Healing. Reintroduce yourself.
Yeah. I've trained a lot of people how to do different things, even unique stuff, and old stuff that was so sacred that I keep seeing pop out every so often.
You're kind of a pro. It's like, all right, come on.
Like, that's okay. I wonder if she can explain it. That's a hard part. But you did well. You did really well.
Thank you. I do also want to say one more thing that is just now coming through. When I say hands-on healing, I am seeing you physically putting your hands on, but I also think that if you were to be doing distant sessions and treating it as a hand-on healing, whether you're doing proxy or something, just working with your hands, that's also just as effective, but just use your hands.
That's perfect. Yeah, I was even not doing it proxy.
Okay, I was like, that's good.
I was telling them how to do it to themselves and holding the space for it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, that's all.
That's enough. I don't need any more information. Just kidding. All right. Well, that was fun. And we're going to have some more fun stuff on this channel, and we'll keep opening it up to more and more unique stuff because you guys are ready and the earth is ready and people are ready and it's time. So thanks for being part of that big movement.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.